Welcome. We just have a few more people joining, it looks like. Cool. Just be a few more seconds here. Some people in the waiting room are still coming in. Looking like we might have everyone here. Welcome. It looks like everyone from the waiting room has been released to the hounds here. So I'm going to proceed, and Michelle will keep an eye on that as we make our way through this, because sometimes I'm late too. Welcome, everyone. I see a nice mix of people here, some people that work here with me and some people I think from the outside world. So thank you very much for being a part of this afternoon on this lovely day outside. So I know if I was home, I probably would have a hard time not being on a walk right now. So thank you very much for being here. This is Read, Watch, Listen. If you're signed up for that, you're at the right place. We're very excited to be hosting this today. It's the very first time that we've done this. As you know, most of the world has transitioned into more of a inside, spaced out kind of reality. And our library has been doing virtual events and classes since about the summertime. And this is the very first time we're giving this one a shot. And the idea behind this, if the description of the event didn't really give you a good enough idea, is basically, there's a lot of books, movies, things to listen to out there. It might be overwhelming for some people that are looking for their next thing to read or watch. For people like me, the amount of choice is overwhelming sometimes. And then I know people, I'm sure we all know, that read and watch everything and they're like, what's next? So I think we'll leave today with some suggestions from, we have 4 staff members on the call that I'll introduce to you guys shortly that will be sharing things, audiobooks, regular books, electronic reading materials. We have a few, I think we have at least 1 music album on the list today too. So hopefully you'll leave with a good mix of things to check out from our services or our branches, wherever you frequent. I do want to bring your attention too to something in the chat box. If you know where that is, you'll see I've put in 2 URLs there. Jessica Calloway, who's on the call today, made a really cool interactive Bitmoji room that we will be going over a lot of books and movies and things like that. You won't have to write down and keep up. You'll see everything that's discussed today. And in that link that says interactive room, it actually will open up a really cool room. You can see the cover images of everything that will be shared today, and it'll expand. You can find more information on that. And then there's also a flyer that was made with everything that could print out if you wanted to keep for your records or even bring to your branch and say, "This, looking for this." If you have any issues accessing any of these things, that's it. Okay, Mary, if you go up in the chat, maybe because you weren't here, I'll resend this out real quick. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm gonna drop this right here. Sorry. I'm just resending what I was discussing just to make sure everyone has it. All right, great. Everyone should see that. If you happen to be in here and you didn't pre-register, that means I don't have your email address. If you want any of the follow-up materials, I suggest maybe emailing me or sending me your email address directly. You see how the option by default is to message everyone? Probably just want to send it to me so everyone doesn't have your email address. And I'll make sure that you get any of the things that are covered after the event. Okay, so thank you for everyone that's here. It looks like we have 19 people. That's great. So the way this is going to work is the first round is going to be the reading recommendations. Those can be in a format of physical or digital. Everything is available in the catalog again. The second round is going to be all the watching recommendations. And the third round is going to be listening. The 4 staff members that have joined us today to share their expertise and the latest things that are on their radar that they thought you'd like to know about. We have Jessica Calloway from our Lantana Road Library branch. We have Elton Lewis from our Lantana Road Library branch as well. We have Brianna Vasquez from our Green Acres branch. And we have Jennifer Gray from our West Boynton branch. So we're going to jump right into the first round, which is read, and I'm going to ask Jessica Calloway to let us know what she has for us today.
I'm Jessica. The book that I chose for our read was Born a Crime by Trevor Noah, and there are several reasons that I love this book. The first part is I did listen to it. I know this is a read, not listen, but he does read it himself, and you do get his intonation of the emotion behind the book. And the big part of the emotion behind the book is what it is like to be mixed race in South Africa. And with that, it just really hits home of the difficulties that they face during that time, and his relationship with his mother is priceless.
Awesome. And I'm glad it came up this early in the program, because I think that is sort of still a talking point. If audiobooks are considered reading, I consider them reading. It seems to be the trend to be going in that direction, and I think they're kind of like the more popular way to read maybe nowadays, as controversial as that is. Anyone, right, would we say? Yeah, cool. Well, I definitely think an audiobook counts as a reading book, so thank you, Jessica. And I'm sure it's pretty funny to read too. Next we have Brianna from Green Acres. Hi, Brianna.
Hi, I'm Brianna. The book I chose was called Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. It's a young adult novel, and it was released earlier this year. And I picked it because I read it around October, so it was like the best for like witchy themes, and it really fit the theme. If you really like paranormal mysteries and immersing yourself in new culture, in a new world, and there's a lot of strong familial bonds with like his blood-related family of the main character, and even like found family as well. And this book just has like it all, and I really loved it. It was such a feel-good book, and it was really great.
We could tell you liked it. It sounds awesome. Not something, doesn't sound like something I would normally read, but I definitely like the culture aspect that I read about the book when I learned about it, when you told me that you were going to be sharing about it. And it's a fairly quick read too, I would say, right?
Yeah, for me it was, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Next for the read round, we have Jennifer Gray from West Boynton. What do you got for us?
My selection was Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. I loved this title. It was beautifully written. It's a portal fantasy / contemporary fantasy title with a mystery subplot. It's the first book in a series, the Wayward Children series. One of the reasons I selected it is that the series is extremely inclusive and has positive representation of LGBTQ characters. It also won the Hugo, Nebula, and Locus Awards for Best Novella. And although it's an adult book, it has YA crossover interest and is appropriate for teens, having won ALA's Alex Award in 2017, which is an award which is given for an adult book which has interest for young adults.
Wonderful. That's basically every major sci-fi fantasy award, it sounded like.
It is, yeah.
Very cool. What do you think about that one, Michelle? Did you read that one?
Oh, I have not read that one. I have not. That actually sounds really cool. Maybe I'll add it to my list.
You
Her
should.
and I were talking about it earlier. I just put her on the spot a little there, but she's interested in putting on her list for sure. Thank you, Michelle. Rounding out the bottom of the first round here, we have Elton Lewis from Lantana with his reading recommendation.
Hello, everyone. My suggestion is this book. The title of this book is Anti-Racist by Tiffany Jewell. Very good layout, vibrant colors. It's actually a book that is empowering and offers a lot of support in the most controversial conversations about identity and community and how to contribute to the community. It does so through like interactive activities, actually subtitled 20 Lessons on How to Wake Up, Take Action, and Do the Work. It kind of helps individuals kind of navigate through questions like, you know, who am I? What is my identity? What is racism? How do I choose my own path? Things like that. it's a great read for anyone to kind of get to know themselves and the people around them, especially at such a tense social climate as today, a political climate as today. I would suggest, if you do have time, pick it up.
Definitely agree. I'm sure everyone's aware of how timely and relevant going over material like that is, even if it's just for your own personal enrichment and understanding maybe some of the new vocabulary words that are getting a little bit more popular around. Can't really watch a morning show this year without being introduced to something new out there. This book kind of covers it all. And Michelle,
yep, I actually just put this book in our collection for Book Club in a Bag. Great choice. And if you look into the catalog, I have a link attached to the Book Club in a Bag version of this book that is a link to the author's reading guide. And it's actually really interactive. And it's a fun little, more like a family activity type guide. It's very cool.
Very cool. So yeah, you could have a book club with the book today if you want. Well, maybe next week if you put it on hold today. So yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys. This will bring us to our second round, which are the watch recommendations. And I'm going to rest my voice a little bit and pass off to my co-host, Michelle, for this one.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle. I think we know that now. I work with Chris. So I'll start off. Round two is watch. We'll start with Jessica Calloway from Lantana again.
Say my watch pick actually plays a little bit off of Every Heart a Doorway, which I think all of you should read. I'm just going to jump on Jennifer's bandwagon for that one, where it deals with a lot of fairy tales. One thing that it has in similar, because my pick is The 10th Kingdom. It's a little mini series where all of the fairy tales actually exist in one world and they each rule their individual kingdoms. So you have the second kingdom is Cinderella, the third kingdom is Snow White, you have the fourth kingdom, which is Red Riding Hood. And I like how individually the fairy tales are actually given their own culture as if they're their own people rather than just being stories, which is something that I really thought was interesting. And then you take someone from New York who kind of gets thrown into this world, and she now, every time as she travels around trying to save her father, and this prince, she now has to understand different type of people everywhere that she goes. It's a different culture in every country. So
that's really cool, Jessica.
Highly, it's an oldie. It's definitely not a new miniseries, but it definitely, I think, hits on things that are relevant today. And I mean, fairy tales are fun.
Oh, I wish I were her. I want that to happen to me. I want to be dropped into some parallel fairy world. Very cool. All right. Next, we have Brianna Vasquez from Green Acres Branch with my personal favorite. I'm actually really happy to introduce this. Go right ahead. Just say it.
All right. I picked Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's a cartoon series that aired from 2005 to 2008. And I know a lot of people might dismiss it because it's a kid's show, but it's really important to watch. I dismissed it for a little bit even when I was younger, but I got around to watching it when I was 15 and I was in high school. And I was really drawn to like the whole concept of the show. And it's lighthearted and fun because it's for kids, but it talks about a lot of really important subjects. Like they bring up genocide and abuse, war, and spirituality. And it shows how like this can affect like young kids or just like the general population. So you can put it on hold like at the library in a physical copy, or you can watch some of it on Hoopla online, I think.
Awesome. Very, very cool. If I were a bender in the Avatar world, I would be a firebender, 100%, hands down. All right. Next, we have Jennifer Gray from West Boynton.
So I chose the Frankie Drake mystery series. It's a fun and relatively lighthearted mystery series, which is set in 1920s Toronto, which follows two female private detectives and their associates. It includes a diverse cast. And although lighthearted, it does highlight the inequalities faced by women and minorities during the time period. It's available on DVD at the library.
Chris, have you watched that?
I actually haven't watched that. I've put it on my list on top of Avatar. And then I'll pick Avatar after I watch that. And not just because I'm a boring old guy.
Agreed.
Thank you all for round two.
Oh no, hold on one second. We have
Elton.
one more person. We have Elton Liz from Lantana. Can't forget Elton with Knives Out.
Never would want to.
Knives Out. No shade thrown. So this happens to be another mystery story. This is a wonderful, humorous, and quaint mystery film where it starts with, ironically, an author of a detective series dies on his 85th birthday, and a real life detective investigates the death of this patriarch of a very eccentric and combative family. Meanwhile, you're in this wild journey through interesting discoveries and plot twists. It's a relief from a lot of typical mystery films. If you want to kind of take a break from always being right, this is the movie for you. 'Cause it's fun. It's a fun watch throughout, from the beginning, and it's both intriguing and I would suggest check it out. It's a great movie. You won't be disappointed.
That's awesome. You have?
Yes, I have.
No, I have not.
And I didn't know. I was fooled the whole time. Didn't say much, but I think Elton's right. It's kind of, it reminded me of the classic like Clue movie turned up to like unbelievably hard to keep up with pace, and what Daniel Craig's in it too, right?
Daniel Craig,
Yeah.
a lot of cool people on there, but
Chris Evans. Chris
There's a lot of
Evans.
actors, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Captain America's in it.
I have my favorites.
Awesome.
I'd hate to
All right.
sound like a broken record, but I will here. I redropped. I'm gonna keep resending this just in case people lose track of it in the chat. But everything that we're talking about here today is definitely available in the library's catalog. And I just resend everything so you have the titles there. If you have any issues accessing any of our digital services, if you're unfamiliar with them, like Hoopla has been mentioned, and I think and Cloud Library too. If you have any issues with that ever, we have awesome staff at every one of our locations that are more than willing to get you what you need on the devices that you have. So just resend everything back in the chat for folks that might want to hold on to that for their records. And again, if you'd like me to email you stuff, if I don't have your email address, you might want to send me that too. Jessica, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, Jessica's.
Yeah. I just want to comment really quick on the Bitmoji room that I made. If you click on the titles, it's going to take you to a PDF of why we chose that item. If you click on the title again in that PDF, it's going to take you to either the Goodreads page or the YouTube trailer for that series. So you can get more information about it. It's not just the titles there. It does take you to a little bit more.
Thank you, Jessica. Sorry, it's hard to type and send stuff in the chat and pay attention. I'm sorry. Thank you for pointing that out though. And that was a really awesome thing that I didn't even know existed until Jessica was kind enough to show me. So this is a really big one.
I will say, I think Candace is in here. This is her idea that she gave me and I just took.
This is my favorite kinds of ideas that keep getting shared with everyone. Okay, that said, on a positive note, let's move into round 3, our final round, which is listen. Looks like we'll have some time at the end. If anyone had stuff that they wanted to share, I could unmute some mics and things like that because we have till about 3:30. But let's get through round 3 and see where everyone's at there. Okay. We'll start off with Jessica from Lantana.
I have to say my choice for listen took me by surprise. It's Daisy Jones and the Six. The reason that I chose this book is it's a great historical book, but listening to it, hearing, I feel like makes this book 10 times better. I highly suggest listening to the audiobook than actually reading it, because the book itself are snippets of interviews with this rock band of how they came together and then how they dissipated, of what happened to them after their rock and roll days. And the narrator that they chose for this book, she has such a smoky rock and roll sound that it was just enjoyable to listen. She could just keep talking to me about rock and roll and didn't even have to be talking about this historical fiction book, and I still would have enjoyed it. But the idea of, because the book itself is formatted as interviews, listening to it, it's almost like listening to a podcast of someone giving their viewpoints. And I feel like you get so much more out of it than listening to it than just by reading it.
Awesome. Someone that has read the book, me, and enjoyed it. It does sound, you're exactly right. It probably would have been a lot more enjoyable to listen to. But I'm just kind of a sucker for any books about musicians and stuff. But it's a great book. Maybe I'll listen to it. Thanks for that one. Next we have Brianna from Green Acres.
I chose the audiobook called Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. It's another young adult book, and it's part of a trilogy. And it's like it's a futuristic, like dystopian novel. And to put it short, it's like it takes place on 3 different ships, and it's really cool because there's a full cast of people voicing every character. So it's kind of like you're being immersed inside, like, I don't want to say like a movie, but like you're really immersed into it. Every character has a different voice, and it's a lot of like found like paperwork and like diary entries or footage of like video footage of like what's going on the ship. So it's like really cool because they piece everything together and it's a story. And it's really like, it's a unique thing to like, the book itself is very like, the physical book is great to read because you can see all of the files, and then to listen to it is also really cool. Like, it's such a like unique experience, and I really love the book. It's like almost like a movie, but you listening to it.
You're imagining it.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I loved it so much.
Sounds
Awesome.
Sounds like a nice one to take a walk to while listening.
Yeah.
I like taking walks. That's awesome. Thirdly here, we have Jennifer with, I think, our only music selection for the listening round. And I know she's tired and everyone's tired of hearing me say this, but when I saw this on the list, I was excited because Fairport, the artist that she selected here, is one of my favorites. And it's not very often that you meet someone who's a fan of late 60s British folk rock crossover stuff. So we were, I hope, mutually excited that we're both fans of this. I'll let you explain and what you like about the album though.
So the album I chose is Leaved and Leaf by Fairport Convention. The reason I chose it is I love traditional folk songs and ballads, and this album includes an interesting mix of more traditionally played songs as well as folk rock. It also includes original songs written in the style of traditional ballads. Sandy Denny's voice is absolutely beautiful. This album was originally released in 1969 and is considered a classic. It's available on Hoopla.
It is very good. And yeah, Sandy Denny might be the best singer that's ever walked the face of this earth. Let's argue about it offline one day. No, seriously, it is a great album, and it's cool because I think they really were kind of forerunners of combining electrified music with the traditional stuff. Bob Dylan gets a lot of credit for that too, but with on the other side of the pond, kind of a nice folk.
Yes.
So cool. We got one more recommendation left this round from Elton, and then
we won't forget Elton this time.
It's
I'll try my best not to
on
take
my mind
it.
sometimes. I hope no one thinks I forgot them for real.
No, Okay. So this one is actually an audiobook from a famous Brené Brown. If you might know her from a TED Talk on vulnerability that came out several years ago. She came out with a book, Daring Greatly, the same conversation, and then she also recently, well, not recently, past year, came out with the title Dare to Lead. So this is the author of Daring Greatly, who writes, "This is a book for everyone who's ready to choose courage over comfort and make a difference and lead. When we dare to lead, we don't pretend to have the right answers. We stay curious and ask the right questions. We don't see power as finite and hoard it. We know that power becomes infinite when we share it and work to align authority and accountability. We don't avoid difficult conversations and situations. We lean into the vulnerability that's necessary to do work." This is a great audiobook for coaching, mental health conversations, something that you can listen to on the way or away from work. It's very relieving and empowering in many ways. If you haven't seen a TED Talk, I would suggest it. You can also see YouTube clips of her insert. It's actually her who's reading the book to you during the audiobook, available on Cloud Library. She actually has a great reading voice, by the way. I'm surprised about that. Great. Check it out. If you end up listening to just 10 minutes of it, I'd be happy.
Oh, that's awesome. See, Chris likes to listen to things while he walks. I like to listen to things while I am driving or laying in my bed in my house. That sounds really cool. And I think it's really special when an author is the one who voices their own audiobook, because you know the tone that they want to say things in. I think that's really cool.
I take it personally when she says certain things. It's like,
yeah,
I could have sworn she said Elton.
Elton.
This doesn't show up in the
You're
book.
a leader.
I'm glad that you mentioned the TED Talk too, because that's how I was introduced to her work as well. She is really great. If you guys aren't familiar with her, and I have some similar feelings as Elton. It's like inspiration mixed with just very empowering kind of language, and helping you realize that you kind of have a lot of stuff within that's worthwhile. Yeah, I liked reading her work too. I haven't read this one yet, but I have done the Daring Greatly. And yes, I do like my walks. That, we've talked about physical versus listening to books, maybe the debate of that's like really reading or not. And I will say, and some people that know me a little bit more than others on the call might not be too surprised, but it is hard for me to retain information listening and compared to reading. So when I'm on my walks, I prefer maybe some music and an interview or something like that. So.
It's interesting you see that, because like I have found listening to historical fiction, memoirs, or books that are written in other language, I find it easier to listen to because I cannot pronounce the way certain words sound with those genres. Mm-hmm. But I can't listen to a science fiction book. Like it does not retain. I can't. Like I have to read it.
Yeah, I feel like in our lifetimes, we'll probably have some more scientific answers for this kind of stuff, but it seems like it's just really depends on the person in the book, I guess. But it's interesting because I do know some people, it's the only way they read now, and then they'll talk to me about a book as if they read it, So I think it's cool. As I said before, we do have a little bit more time allotted here. If anyone in the room would like to share, whether that means in the chat, anything they've read, watched, or listened to lately, or if I don't mind unmuting people's mics. And there's a lot of staff members here. Don't feel any pressure, but we probably won't stay on here if there's nothing more to go over. If anyone needs to, there's a few folks in here from the outside world. If you weren't able to share with me the need to get any follow-up materials, I just put my email address in the chat. You can just email me too, because I think there's at least a couple people. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this. It doesn't look like anyone's trying to get my attention that they want to share anything. So we might leave it at that. I don't know if any of our guests or Michelle have anything to say. We will be doing this again on January 13th at 2:30. That'll be probably a different mix of staff that will be given the recommendations. We might have some returns here if I can convince these great folks to do this again. So we'll see you maybe January 13th.
Yeah, Rita in the chat says, great recommendations. Thank you to all. See you in the new year.
Thank you, Rita. And thank you, Mary, too. I'm glad you were.
Mary, yeah.
Sounds good. Any of my guests here? You guys are good? You want anything else to say? No?
I think we're good. I have a lot of recommendations now, and I'm going to be really busy this weekend.
Okay, wonderful. Well, as usual, stay tuned to ppclibrary.org to everything that's happening here. And I hope everyone stays safe out there. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.